Good morning, guys. This is your review on reflections. This is on page 78 of your notes that we took the other day. I'm going to just do a quick review on these two shapes. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to reflect these shapes over the x-axis. So let's talk about what the x-axis is. This is your x right here, and this is your y going down this way. Okay, so let's take a look at the square real quick. This is my pre-image. I've got A, B, C, and D. And let's look. I've already got it drawn out for you, and I got the coordinates for you. So A is 411, 4 over, up 11. B is 10, positive 10 over, 11 up. C is 4 over, 5 up. And D is 10 over, 5 up. That's our first image. So when we reflect over the y-axis, which is this one right here, we talked about when we were talking on our notes about if you get confused, fold your paper in half over the x and kind of visualize where A, B, C, and D will end up. So let's do this. Let's start with A. It's going to stay in this on this line right here, but it's going to end up down here in the negatives. So this is 11 spaces from the x-axis, so the A has to be 11 spaces down below in this quadrant. Okay, so same thing with B. B is here. It is 10 spaces over, 10 spaces, and it's 11 down, meaning there's 11 right there, so I have to count 11 all the way down, but it stays at that with that 10, so it has to be 11 down here. C is 4 over, 5 up. So C is 5 from the x. So C has to be 5 below the x also. D is over 10 up 5. So it's 5 spaces from the x. So it has to be 5 spaces below the x. Now let's look at our quadrants. Our coordinates, sorry. The coordinate for A is positive 4, positive 11. When we rotate it, that's supposed to be a negative 11. When we rotate it, it stays 4, but the y changes to a negative 11. B is 10, 11. B, this should be B prime. And then B, the second, the reflected image is 10, negative 11. Notice that that 11 changed to the opposite. C is 4, 5. Positive 4, positive 5. C prime is positive 4, negative 5. Notice that, again, that y value changed to the opposite. Move it up just a little bit. D in the first image is 10, positive 5. Notice it changes to 10, negative 5. Again, the y value changed to the opposite. So in all of these points, the x value stays the same. The y value changed to the opposite. Okay? Let's look at the triangle on the other side, and we'll scoot it over a little bit. Now I've got triangle A, B, and C in this quadrant. A is negative 7 up 10. B is negative 10 up 5. And C is negative 4 up 5. Again, we're going to reflect it on the x-axis, so we fold our paper, and let's check, let's see what happened when we reflected it. All right, so let's try A. A is 10 spaces from the x-axis, so it's got to be 10 spaces below. So we have negative 7, negative 10. Our original one was negative 7, positive 10. So again, that y value changed to the opposite and the x stayed the same. Let's look at B. B is negative 10, 5 here, so it's 5 spaces from the x. So it has to be 5 spaces below the x. It started at negative 10, positive 5, ended up with negative 10, negative 5. So again, that y value changed. C is negative 4 up 5. So C is 5 spaces from the x, and it's 5 spaces below the x, and again, this should have put the 1 there. So C started at negative 4, 5, ended up at negative 4, negative 5. So again, all of the x values stayed the same. All of the y values, when reflected over the x, changed to the opposite. Now we're going to reflect it over the y value. Let's start with the square again. Okay, this is, I didn't do my prime there. Okay, we're going to start with on this side. We've got A, B, C, and D again. We've got positive 11 for A. B is 10 positive, 11 positive, up. C is 4, 5, both positive, and D is 10 over, up 5. We're going to reflect it over the y this time. So now act like we're folding it this way. Okay, let's try A. A is 4 spaces from the y, so it has to be 4 spaces beyond the y here. So we went from positive 4, 11 to negative 4, 11. It stays on the line of 11, but it's in the negative quadrant right here on the x. B is 10 spaces from the y, so it has to be 10 spaces from the y this way. So B started at positive 10, 11. It ended at negative 10, 11. Notice that the y value stayed the same and the x changed this time. C is positive 4, positive 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces from the y, so it's got to be 4 spaces beyond the y. So we started at positive 4, 5. We ended up at negative 4, positive 5, because it stayed on this 5 right here, which is the positive. But now it's over here in the negative 4. One more. Here's D, 10 to 5. Positive 10 to 5. It is 10 spaces from the y, so reflected has to be 10 spaces beyond the y this way. So the change is from positive 10 to positive 5 to negative 10 to negative 5. Now notice on all of these coordinates, when we reflect it over the y, the x value changes on each one. Positive 4 to negative 4, positive 10 to negative 10, positive 4 to negative 4, positive 10 to negative 10. And notice all the y values are the same for the square. Okay, let's go to the triangle here at the bottom. Now I made a mistake right here, so I'll explain this. But we're going to start on this side. A is at negative 7. Negative 7, meaning this way and down negative 7. B is at negative 11, negative 12. So negative 11, down 12. C is at negative 3, negative 12. Now we're going to reflect it the other way from the square, so we're going to fold it this way. This way. So let's take a look at the A first. I am 7 spaces from the y, so I have to be 7 spaces beyond the y this way. So A started out at negative 7, negative 7. A prime is now positive 7, negative 7. Notice, again, the x value went to the opposite. B started out at negative 11, negative 12. I'm 11 spaces from the y, so I have to be 11 spaces beyond the y. I went to 10 at first, but it's supposed to be here. So B started at negative 11, negative 12, ended up at positive 11, negative 12. Again, the x value changed to the opposite. C started out at negative 3, negative 12, 3 spaces from the y, 3 spaces beyond the y. So again, my x value changed. So when you reflect over the y for both of these shapes, the x value becomes the opposite. On the first part, we reflected over the x. When we do that, folding it this way, your y values are going to change to the opposite. So that's your reflection review from the notes on page 78.